Hey everyone, it's Empress Rose here, and welcome to our collective reading. So I'm looking at my scrying ball this morning as I get started, and I see Saturn, rings, all of that, and I don't actually know what Saturn's doing in the sky this week. Normally my relationship with astrology is very much like my astrologers that I follow tell me what's going on right now. I don't really have a long-term future view of what's going on with it. So that'll be interesting. We can all go research what Saturn's doing and how it might affect us, and what our Saturn, how Saturn affects us in our birth chart, how Saturn might be affecting us. So maybe I'll see if I can link to one of my astrologers that I like and then follow and see what happens there. The next thing I saw in my scrying ball was an elephant. It was an elephant man. It was Ganesha, basically. But it was an elephant. There was a lot of focus there. And I don't know if it was anger. You know how you can be really focused and concentrating and you look kind of mad? That's this elephant. So was it mad? Was it just focused? Elephants. I'm not sure I want to go with the representations of elephants. Because I'm not sure that's what it was about. Like, memory, family, all of that. Pretty sure it's not literal about an actual elephant man coming into our lives this week. Maybe it's just about a very notable nose on somebody who's very focused. Anyway, I'm starting on these oracle cards. All right, just one. What do we have? We have sea turtle. Wow, the sea turtle's been in a lot of our readings lately. Slow and steady wins the race. The sea turtle also, I was thinking the other day about sticking its neck out of its comfort zone. It has this very literal comfort zone, and sticking its neck out, taking a look around. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady. Emotional movement, that's slow. Again, we have the moon really being a major part of the sea turtle's reproductive cycle. The sea turtle's just kind of cruising through the waters, just kind of moving at a nice steady pace through some emotions, through some waters, through just moving. So a nice reminder: slow and steady wins the race. The tortoise and the hare is coming through here. So just sticking with something, being consistent, persistent, not quitting, not giving up. If you don't achieve, if you don't get to the finish line right now, that's okay. We'll be fine. It takes the time it takes. But yeah, that story of the tortoise and the hare, the arrogance of speed, of moving quickly through things versus steady pace. Still moving. All right, from this deck, I don't know why I'm shuffling it. This is Colette Baron Reid's latest deck. I think it's called the Weavers something. Just one card out of this deck. Okay. All the threads of fate must bend. Twisty turny. I get sort of a DNA. Obviously, there's a DNA imagery here. But the way this is about changes coming up and moving with those changes. Again, we get definitely a watery vibe, much like the sea turtle. So I see flexibility, being flexible with your schedule, being flexible with your emotions, accommodating others, accommodating movement, obviously with still good boundaries. But there's this compromise, moving with someone. So we're not coming in here going, this is what it is, this is how it's going to be. We're coming in here saying, I'd like to move like this, you move like that. So there's some sort of compromise and movement. And I love the threads of fate must bend, because that also talks to me about the flexibility of fate as well, to move in harmony with you, or in making space for something, making space possibly for someone, for something. And just as we can make space for someone and something and what they want to do, I feel like the universe makes space for us and what we want to do. So, and there could also be a bend in the road up ahead, that the road isn't going to be straight through here. There's going to be a twist to something here. To meet you. The road is coming up to meet you, and there's a bend in it that's maybe unexpected and requires adjustment. I don't see this as a bad bend. I don't see this as like a, oh my gosh, we're going to get in a wreck kind of hairpin turn that's bad for you. It feels very neutral, so that might mean for some of you will be interpreting this bend in the road, this twist of fate, very favorably, and some of you may be seeing it unfavorably. Whether that's objectively true or not, only time will tell. But there does seem like there's a date with destiny here that may be a little bit unexpected. All right, and then from the bottom of the deck, we have Queen of Voices. So, Queen of Voices. This is a person who's very direct. This is really interesting for the reading. This is very interesting card for overall for the reading, is a person. And this could be very well someone that's, you're working with. You're working with someone. This person, male or female, is very direct. They have already seen what they need to see. There's a sense of the past informing the future. Queen of Voices can be incredibly direct. It can be about communication. Oftentimes it's Queen of Swords, which is words. And Queen of Voices. So there's been communication. There might have already been communication. There's clear thinking, and direct communication. This may be the bend in the road that's coming, that we're looking at. Oh, she's definitely looking at the bend of the road. She's looking directly at, look at the bend in the road, the twist of fate. So someone may be communicating about that. This is a highly communicative card. Our queens tend to be very internally focused. They have their plan. They might be watching other people, what they're doing. They have their own inspiration. They have their own feelings. They're very internally focused. The queens tend to point to introverted activity within a person, or a person who's in an introverted space. Except for, and we always have one suit that runs counter to the rest of the themes in the other suits. The Queen of Voices, very extroverted energy, very highly communicative energy, definitely not people-pleasing energy, but they know what they want. Very clear up here and very clear out here. So the internal becomes external, and it's all very clear, crystal clear. Sharp. Strong communication. So this could be a person who's strongly communicating, very direct. They know what they want. They've seen what they wanted, and maybe it changed the course for them of what they were going towards and what they were doing. Past, present, inner landscape. What's at issue? Environment, to-do list, possible outcome. Not excited about the possible outcome here. I may pull a clarifier on that, but let's read through and see what comes in. I find myself wanting to bend the fate, wanting to bend the reading in a certain direction, willing it to bend towards what I want, which, you know, I'm aware of that. I'm feeling that and I'm communicating that to you, but I'm trying to read it straight here. But all right, in the recent past, we have 4 voices. So this is like I was on a break. You've been on a break. You've been in recovery. You've been on a break from something. A break has been taken. Relaxation hopefully happened here. Rejuvenation. 4 voices is about, it's definitely a break. It's not an ending. It can feel like an ending, like nap time. You know, you can feel like the day's over or something's ending. Especially as a child, I really didn't enjoy naps because it felt like so over. Well, what, you know, there's like this cliff you go up to and then you're asleep. And then like what happens after that? It just was, not being tired is just very, I don't know, I found them scary to approach a nap. So a little bit of a nap time that may have felt a little scary. I want to say trepidatious. It was a trepidatious nap of like, okay, I guess I'm going to take a break from this. I'm not really sure I want to. I'm not really sure I want to be outside of the action. I'm not really sure I want to remove myself from the situation. I'm not 100% sure about that. So that's how it's coming across. It's like a break, but then we have this like sort of little boss here who might be like counting how much of a break you're taking. Like some part of you was awake this whole time and was aware that you would be waking up again, that you'd be getting out of this hot tub, that you'd be waking up. And this break time has actually seeded some inspiration, some inspiring ideas have come to you throughout this. You have maybe grown in radiance, grown in energy. Of course, a nap is to re-energize us. It looks like it's doing the opposite, but actually what looks like you're shutting down so you can wake up brighter, cheerfuler, with more inspired action, right? So you're taking the nap for the purpose of waking up. And there's certainly been some sort of someone overseeing this break, or somebody, whether you are aware of them or not, has been watching this break, and they're not the main character here, but they're definitely, there's been somebody who's, and maybe it's a part of yourself that's like, you know, this break isn't going to last forever. Take advantage of it, but I'm going to wake you up. It's like, you know, when you say, I want to wake up at 7, and then somehow you do wake up at 7, without your alarm, or you wake up at 6:59, that's like some part of yourself was like there, your subconscious or some part of yourself was there saying you're going to wake up at this time, and was able to do that. So that's what I'm seeing. The past has involved a break, a rest period, and yet also this awareness that you would be coming out of this break and hopefully renewed, refreshed from this rest time. So, and here we go. Ace of Materials. There's a new project here. It's time to wake up. The day has begun. The project has begun. The work has begun. So you're starting your work day. You've had a good nap or a good rest. And now there's like an actual project that you're starting on. There's an actual work to be done. It's just the first seed. The seed's been planted, but that's part of like it's been winter. The ground has lied fallow, I think is the word we use here. And you've been, and now we've planted seeds, and these seeds are starting to grow, and they're starting to come up into reality. So spring is over, so winter's over. This is your winter card, always knowing the whole time that the winter is not permanent. And here we have the seeds coming up, sprouting up through the ground. They are coming to life. There's still like some visionary element here. Like we're trying to see where this all is going. And last year's work has prepared this seed to come to life. We are very protective, perhaps, of this growth of this project. But there's work, there's new work to be done. In the 3D, materials to me, first and foremost, is always about what's going on in the 3D. We have these voices, these can be thoughts. You took a break from thinking about something or talking about something, or you took a break from something. And then we have ACE materials. So this is like the new job, the new work, the new project coming to fruition. Your hopes, your fears, your inner landscape, we have a desire to make space for this. And there might be some doubt. Do I have time for this? Can I make space for this? You may be worried that there's going to be too much pressure. You may be worried that you're not strong enough to be able to deal with these pressures. You may be feeling vulnerable, but there is a sense of you are here and you are meant to be here, but you may have doubts about that, about whether you were meant to be here, whether you are meant to be having this much pressure. There might be also a sense of, do I have time for this? Is there space for this? Can I make time for this? So the pressure can be both a time constraint or other types of pressure. Like you might have started a new project or a new job, but you still have the old job that you're doing. You still have this other stuff, or you still have, you might have naysayers. And where this card is placed, those naysayers are mostly inside of you. The Seven of Inspiration can be, it's internal doubts about your ability to make time, to make space, to achieve and accomplish, to allow this star to shine. This curtain wants to close. I just feel like these are sort of some vibrations of pressure that are pushing in here, and you are trying to push out. You feel the fact that you are not clothed here tells me that there's a sense of vulnerability here, but boy, do you really want this light to shine, this light to come through. And you want to make space. You want something to be seen. It feels like a curtain closing, but you don't want it to, or you're opening. It's hard to tell if it's closing or opening. What we can tell though is that you're making space for something to be seen. Sometimes this has you like defending your ground, feeling defensive about something, or having naysayers and people, and the way this is placed in your internal landscape, it could be your own self being like, you can't do this. What are you talking about? You don't have time for this. You don't have the ability to do this. This new job, how you don't have the abilities to do this. So it could be coming from inside. But this card is always meant as a reassurance that where you're at, you're meant to be at. The rooms you're in, you are meant to be in those rooms. The situation, this job is meant to happen, and there will be naysayers and maybe some negativity and maybe some pressure to do things this way or that way, but you have a right to be there. So these are some sort of things you may be thinking about internally, about like, who am I to be here? And that would be the internal naysayer. Who are you? So imposter syndrome. You might be dealing with imposter syndrome, and you might also be dealing with externalized imposter syndrome, where other people are like, well, who are you? Why do you get that and I don't get that? Why did you get the job and I don't get the job? Or who do you think you are to do this? So we can internalize that voice, and also people accidentally sometimes, or just jokingly, like really can reinforce that imposter syndrome, by trying to knock us down a peg. So be looking out for someone who's trying to knock you down a peg out of jealousy, or fear, or confusion, or just stupidity. And that may be a small part of yourself, or that might be external to you. So what's at issue here is the Lover's card in reverse. Oh, this surprises me. I am surprised. This can be not having options, not having choices, not seeing what you want, not having connected with something that you want and desire. not making the choice to go towards something that you love. Having not made that decision, perhaps in the past. Perhaps this is something that you did in the past. You had an opportunity, you did not take it. And it's affecting, in a way, this new opportunity. There might be separation from someone you love. You might have to maybe go out of town. You might have to take a different path than what you thought you were going to take. You might not be willing to make a sacrifice, or you might have not been willing to make this sacrifice before. You might not, because the lovers ask us to, usually it's something that we love, something that calls to our heart, some soulmate connection, either with someone else or with a project or with a job, and we don't take it, and we separate from that thing that we know would bring us alive. We know is some part of, perhaps we feel called to it. We love it. You know, it's the lover's card. It's what you love. It's what brings you alive. It what makes you feel happy. But they're usually with this choice. The reason why it's rarely a simple decision to follow what you love, because there's going to be sacrifices. There's going to be things you leave behind. There's going to be time that you don't have to do things, you know, and we have to budget that time. It's not an infinite resource. I mean, it is, and it's not. So you may not have, at this point, you may not have chosen to make those sacrifices to do. This could also be somebody else that is not choosing. I don't necessarily see a breakup going on, but I see like a not happening. Something is not happening. But maybe you're wanting to make space for something, and you're wanting to hold the door open. Okay, so sorry, my phone did a funny thing. So 4 of materials, and I'm combining this. This can be like a honeymoon period, an obsessive period, but it can also be a clingy, non-risk-taking period. So this may be what's going on with the Lover's card too. If someone is not willing to take a risk right now, someone is, you know, or make the difficult choices and sacrifices required when we do meet with something that will bring us to life, that we deeply connect with and that we love. This could be someone not taking that chance, sticking with their safe route rather than the risk. But I can also see this as like a honeymoon or a timeout, or it can be a vacation, right? And it sits under this 4 of Voices, which is also telling me this might be a vacation. Because it can be the laying in period, the honeymoon period, right? She's completely obsessed with these 4 flowers she's grown. Yeah, there's more, but there's a time and a place for the more. And here and now is where she's at right now, is here and now. What do I have right here? And I want to be in love with that. I want to love what I have right here. And just with sitting under this 4 of Voices, it could easily be seen as a vacation where we just let other things go. We take a break. We know we're coming back from the break. We know we're coming back from our vacation. We haven't abandoned the job or the family or whatever. We're going on a vacation so that we can like really pay attention to something. So the 4 of materials could come forward as an opportunity to really be here now, to really with what exists now, to really enjoy what exists now. Right? It's not risk-taking. It's not wanting that. It's not being overwhelmed by desire for the future. It's being overwhelmed in a way by desire for what you already have. That's how it feels in this card, is being overwhelmed by a desire and a love for what you already have. Not looking to the future, not looking to the distant future, not planning what's next, knowing that what's next will come. So sometimes Four of Materials gets a bad rap as being non-risk taking, and with the Lover's reverse, I can see that a non-risk taking energy of we're not going to go down that path, even though we would love to, because we're going to be okay with what we have. So when we get to like the Eight of Cups, then we're like, actually, I want more, and we're going off after that. So I think maybe there might be like a cultural issue here where in at least American culture, we're always supposed to be looking and planning for the next thing, and what are your plans, and where are you going with this, and what risks are you going to take, and how are you going to do the next thing, and always thinking about tomorrow and the future and moving towards that. And so we can see Four of Materials as not as in our environment as being like a very stuck energy, or it's stuck. That's simply because it's enjoying where it's at, and it's unambitious. It's a very unambitious energy. It's not trying to achieve more than what it already has. So there's that energy somewhere in your environment. And it can be a really beautiful energy, actually. Sometimes when we're being called forward, when it's time to move and we stay in Four of Materials, then yeah, it is stuck, it is stagnant. But sometimes it's really important to enjoy right where we're at, right here, right now. And boy, is she really enjoying right where she's at, right here, right now. This is good. Is there more coming? There's more coming, but we don't have to be obsessed with the more coming. We don't, to the exclusion of enjoying what we actually have today. So the environment, it kind of feels split, like it lacks ambition, it's not taking risks, but at the same time, we don't have to take risks every day. We can just enjoy where we're at. So, and then we have a king, which is interesting. Well, they call it a muse, but because it's an all-female deck, so we don't have a king in this all-female deck, but we have a muse, but we have the queen, and we basically have the king. Muse of emotions, emotional maturity. That's what you're called to do. Being even, being steady, being emotionally mature. Someone maybe has a strong need for security, for safety, for stability. A risk could possibly be taken, but it's not being taken in this reading. And you're being called to be emotionally mature and to allow. You have to be the bigger person here. This is so interesting because I don't necessarily see a lot of conflict. I see the Seven of Inspiration as self-doubt, this Four of Materials as security. So maybe you can understand, if you're having this self-doubt, maybe you can understand why someone would take a more secure route, because you yourself would know how powerful that need for security and safety is. This could be a job that's very secure also. A job that's very secure also. Like, you don't need to worry about it. This job is obsessed with you. This job is... They're not going to take a chance on something else. So if you're the something else, they're not taking a chance. If you're the sure bet, they're not taking a chance on something else. So it depends on who you come into this scenario as. So Muse of Emotions, emotional maturity, steadiness, groundedness. I think we throw that word around a lot, and everybody means something a little different. It seems like it's my experience of that. So yeah. So the Muse of Emotions here, being able to handle your own emotional liquor, being able to handle what the world throws at you, and being grounded emotionally, right? They're drinking their own cup. This is very steady. Yeah, there might be some emotional overflow. There might be some emotional tumult here, but we're steady in our emotional canoe. Our heart is steady. We are steady. We are holding steady. We are not being pulled this way and that way by different emotional experiences, by different stimuli. We are listening to our own, we're listening to our emotions, right? Because those come in, those are information, crucial pieces of information that we need. So emotions are another sense, like feeling, sight, hearing, emotions, and they need to be integrated and taken into the overall decision-making process. We don't necessarily have to go with whatever. And this is what Muse of Emotions is. It's not allowing any emotion to overwhelm us and completely take us out to sea, but it's also allowing the emotions to come in as information, to be successfully integrated, to be understood, and to be received as information. Like we get touch information, we touch, the proverbial hot stove. This is going to tell us, ouch, go away, get your hand off of that. So the emotions can be the same way. We can get this really strong negative emotion coming in, and it's there to inform us that this is not the way to go. And I think with the Lovers card here, with the Muse of Emotions, we have the Lovers card here, which this is something that calls us forward to help us feel good. And our emotions, when we're awake there, when we're listening to that, we're choosing to move towards things that bring us alive and make us feel really good, and away from things and people and situations that don't feel good. And that's how our emotions can inform us. So, and that's an important mechanism. Living beings wouldn't have been alive very long if we kept pursuing things that hurt us. The amoeba, for instance, going and out in the sun, wow, I'm getting so dry and desiccated out here, and I can feel there's a little bit of shade and water over here, but I'm not going to it because the amoeba, have been conditioned to not go towards things that bring me life. So the Muse of Emotions, paying close attention to your emotions and allowing them to inform your decisions, but not dictate your decisions. So then we're headed into, now this is the one, the possible outcome, 10 of Voices, painful, ending to something. Something's over, something ends. A communication that could end a painful situation, a painful series of events. A communication here. The good thing is that it's over, it's ended, so we can heal, start to begin a true, genuine, deep healing process. Sometimes I see this card as like cleaning out the wound. The wound is here. The wound ceases to wound. You are not, and this is where your King of Emotions might come in. It might help something no longer feel like a wound to you. To explore your emotions, perhaps even express your emotions. It can help something not to grow through your emotions. It can help something not feel like quite the wound. So with this turtle card here, this isn't like move through this quickly as fast as possible. This is like spend some time with your feelings. Especially this talks about a longer process. It hasn't been a flash in the pan one event that was painful and difficult. This has like been kind of an ongoing, multiple wounds piled on top of each other kind of event. And normally we see 10 swords actually in this person's back. So that doesn't happen unless you've done business with a porcupine. That doesn't happen all at once. Those swords go in one by one. So this has been a painful, I think with the mountain range here, we can say long-lasting or extended painful experience with multiple events associated with it. These are going to be coming to an end. And now they come to an end not necessarily because the person doing the wounding or the situation doing the wounding has learned their lesson and is apologizing and so sorry to have caused so much pain, didn't mean to. That's not typically what it means to me. It could mean that, but it can mean also that it's just there's no more rejection to be had here. There's no more. You don't need to keep replaying it. It doesn't echo into the future indefinitely. It ends. So whatever difficulty this is that has been a barrier between you and either the life that you love or the person that you love, there is an end coming some way or somehow. And it could be within your heart, just saying, okay, no, you know what? I don't want that anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to be wounded like this anymore. I'm removing myself from the situation. Or it could be that the situation just changes somehow outside of yourself. And a 10 of Voices is typically like it is something outside of yourself that changes and shifts. And this routine of rejection or this painful routine or painful communication that happens over and over and over finally ends. But the key to ending this is going to be your own emotional maturity, as we see in the Muse of Emotions. It's your own emotional maturity, and sometimes asking yourself the hard questions. But you come in like a boss. That's what I want to say. An emotionally intelligent boss. That's who you become in this process. There's something going on here where you become this emotionally intelligent boss, and through that some sort of painful cycle ends. And I don't want to say you were causing the painful cycle, but your own emotional intelligence, tapping into your, I would say, your highest self, your highest emotional intelligence, brings you to a place of peace about something. We're not quite healing, but the healing can now happen. But it's like a place of rest. It's like I want to say like the zipper ride, you know, at the fair and stuff, that zipper ride. You're not going to recover from that right away, but the ride ends. You didn't like it. Let's say you got on it, you hated it, you hated every minute of it, you maybe barfed a bunch of times and vomit went flying everywhere as your little cage spun around. And you didn't like this ride at all, but it ends at some point. And so that's what we're talking about. This ride ends and you get to get off of it, and you'll never go on it again, but you do get to get off of this ride at some point in the future. So, and then I wanted to pull a card to clarify this 10 of voices, and what we got was the world cosmos. Ending. It's over. This section is over. This problem, and maybe even the separation from the life that you love or the person that you love, or something, this sense maybe even of separation, or this belief that you don't get to go towards the things you love. Over. This whole section, over. Done. We got a 10 and sort of the 10 of the major arcana. That's the other major arcana, is a big ending. Big ending. And you're going to need to put on your big girl panties and deal with it. Okay, whose big girl panties are we putting on? I have a new deck. I've been playing around with it a little bit, but we might look at the book here. So we have Iris, communication. This could put an ending to painful communication, but here we have our Queen of Voices. This is like the good fairy. This comes in as a bad fairy, but I wasn't really reading it this week. So the good fairy of communication. So be checking your mail, your email, your DMs, whatever. But communication comes in. This is like really great communication too. She's an angel. And we've got a rainbow here of, you know, transformative, promising, very promising communication. Oh, this is a good reading. All right, and here we have Iris. Greek goddess Iris is the divine messenger for the pantheon of gods and goddesses. I thought that was Hermes. But all right, she travels through the multidimensional rainbow portals that bridge the different realms of the universe. Her large golden wings assist her on her quantum errands. She devotes her life to serving others through pure communication of sacred messages. The iris flower and rainbow are her emblems. As the master of effective communication, she reminds you of the importance of transparent and impeccable speech. Say clearly what you mean and mean what you say. You may be receiving or delivering important news. Yeah, so I want to, and then just a reminder to check your emails, texts, and read all that. So this communication, though, this to me has this sense of like shifting reality. And that brought this in. Some sort of communication from Iris, from the Queen of Voices. See, we're just bookended by these two communicative and, well, both decks only have women in them. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be gender exclusive here, but that's me. So these communications are, so I want to say they're female, but from a woman, but I'm not 100% sure that that's the case, since the decks I selected are only women. These two decks have only, not all the decks, but these two do. So communication goddesses here on either side of this reading, bringing an end to some sort of chapter of your life, and possibly even some sort of separation from some sort of dream or wish or goal or person or love, something that you love. You've been separated from this, and I feel like it's entirely possible with the 10 of voices and the world cosmos that there's a communication that brings this to an end. Prepare your heart to receive and handle something pretty intense. If you do get a new job or something like that, you're the only one, and this person's not. They don't feel like they're taking a risk with you. They're very certain that you're the right person for the job, if that's what this is. Yeah. With just the 4 of materials and the Ace of materials, coming out of retirement for a pretty secure position, I feel like. But you're going to feel some kind of emotion about it. I mean, I use the word retirement very loosely. All right, so auspicious symbols. We have Saint Germain. Use the violet flame to heal and transform your energy. This is the Muse of Emotions here. So transforming your own energy is going to be really important here. And also, speaking of like sort of quantum shifts and the bending of fate, Saint Germain's going to be your saint of such things. Also, tapping into amethyst might be a really cool stone to work with at this time. So transforming your energy, and that's exactly this like, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, transforming your energy and your emotions and your vibe about something. Transmuting something maybe that's been a negative, and making sure you're willing, I think it's a similar message, making sure you're willing to shift into a more positive mindset. And then we have Ama-B. Use the power of Ama-B to fend off unpleasant experiences and situations. We have a mermaid here. Yeah, a token, a talisman to... Yeah, I think that's why your energy is going to be key to making something a positive experience, especially if you're having self-doubts and stuff like that. You need to transform that so that you can move forward in a more positive way. I think if you go in feeling just this job feeling insecure, and this 4 of materials feels very secure. It's not risky. So if there's a job or something, it's not risky. There's no big risk here. But I think you need to transform something in yourself in order to not self-sabotage. And then swallow. Fly high with grace. You're embodying greater love, light, and peace. So again, with this sort of Muse of Emotions, high emotional maturity, embodying greater love, light, and peace. Yeah. So these are also symbols to look for, amethyst, Saint Germain, Ama-B, little mermaid here, and then swallows. There's a lot of, I guess the themes I see here are emotion and intellect kind of interwoven together here. And just remember, sea turtle, slow and steady, wins the race. This is also going to be our Muse of Emotions, our King of Cups. Emotional maturity. All right, hopefully that this was helpful for you, and I enjoy doing these for you, and thank you so much for supporting my channel, and I hope you all have a wonderful, gorgeous week.